This conference will now be recorded.
Good. Okay, so we're picking up where we left off. Shar Yichud HaMaseh, the gateway of Yichud HaMaseh, focusing. And I don't know if we'll get to it this week or next week, but he's going to deal with the issue that plagues me all the time. That whenever we try to do something like davening, something like that, how our mind just opens up with all these rush of all these other thoughts, and you wonder how did I get here? Where am I? And yeah. Those challenges. Hi, David. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Hi.
Good, good.
Rabbi,
Okay.
where are we on Safaria? Because we were away.
562.
62.
5562. Okay. So we spoke last week. Last week I was away on Monday. I was here Monday. I don't remember anymore. We spoke last time. Let's play it safe. We spoke last time about how the Yetzer will try to convince us, right? Again, we're in the section now. If he can't convince us not to do the good things, he'll try to divert our focus about how and why we're doing these things. So do it so people will like you. Do it so you'll be popular. And if that doesn't work, the kasher yityaesh hayetzer, when the Yetzer will give up hope, mi patotcha, from trying to mislead you, literally seduce you, bifanim ha'ela in these manners, yishadel lefatotcha bitzad avat hashevach v'ashem tov olam hazeh. You should do it in order that you will be praised, and you'll have a shem tov, right? A shem tov means a good name. And we know the famous teaching in Pirkei Avos that there are different crowns. There's the crown of kingdom given to the descendants of Judah and David. There's the crown of kahuna, of priesthood, given to the descendants of Aaron. And there's the Keser of Torah. There's the Keser, the crown of Torah. That's available for everyone. And the Keser Shem Tov Olal Kulam. And the Keser, the crown of a good name, a Shem Tov, that supersedes all of them. So therefore, we'll say, listen, you should do this because you want to get praised, you want to have a good name, and there are firm reasons, not just for my ego, but we'll soon see if you do that, people will want to emulate you. If no one knows what you're doing, then who can emulate you? But get it out there. Let people know. Let people you be the talk of the town about all the good things that you're doing, and that will serve as a wonderful inspiration, a wonderful model template for others to follow. We'll see that becomes a treacherous path. Let's hear. V'yomer lecha, and I'll say to you, Sameach ani al avodatcha le'elokim. I am so happy that you're serving Hashem so beautifully. In bitchoncha tov alav, and that you put in your trust in Hashem. V'hashavatcha kol inyanecha elav, and all the things that you do, you're doing it for the sake of Hashem. Shepanita livcha mitoelet habruim mibaladei abore, and you're not looking to get anything. No, you recognize no one can give you anything unless that's being directed by God, right? Anything that comes your way, that person is choosing to be the one who will give to you that which Hashem wants to be given to you. And if it's meant to go to you, if it won't come through that person, it'll come through another person. So you need to have appreciation to that person for choosing to be the conduit, but at the same time recognizing that person is simply the conduit. And the real gratitude and devotion needs to be to the one who sent it through that conduit, which is Hashem. And the Yetzer says, you've got this beautifully. You've turned your heart away, recognizing that anyone is just a conduit. They're not the cause. They're not the source of anything that comes to you. The only source is Mibaladei Habore. The only source for anything that comes your way is the Creator. And you have trust in God be'emet, in a true manner, uvalev shalem, in a wholehearted manner. You're amazing. The Yetzer Hara says to you, you are just a shining star. And because of that, Ein Roy, it's not right. Shetastir mimnei Adam. Ma shata alav min chasidut. Don't hide from people. Don't conceal from others this level of righteousness, of chasidut, that you've attained. Aval anachon lecha. The proper path for you to take, you who are so amazing, is kevan shemashalta ba'atzmecha. Since you have reach this point of controlling yourself, the gavarta al tavatcha, you have overwhelmed any of these desires, and you keep yourself in line. So the proper thing for you to do now, if you're a shining star, people have to appreciate this. Shetira ma'asecha levnei adam. You've got to show who you are, what you are. Let everyone realize just how righteous you are. Reveal to them what's in your heart. This will give you a lot of honor here in this world. V'zecher tov, v'shem tov. You'll be remembered for good. You'll have a good name betochem, amongst them, as the pasuk says, right? And this is a famous verse. It's from this verse that the Holocaust Museum in Israel got its name, Yad Vashem. The pasuk says in Isaiah and Yeshayahu, "V'natati lahem beveiti uvechomotai." I will give them in my house and in my wall Yad Vashem, a hand and a name, that you will be remembered. Yad Vashem. Tov mibanim umibanot. The pasuk actually begins to the Sarisim, those who were not fortunate to be blessed with children. Hashem says to them, do what's right, and I'll give you in my house, in my wall, a Yad Vashem, a hand, and a name, Tov mibanim umibanot. That'll be greater than having sons and daughters. V'amar, and it says, V'asiti l'cha shem gadol, I will give you a great name, Keshem ha'gedolim, asher ba'aris, like the names of the gedolim, the great ones, who were here on the land. So therefore, yes, you're amazing. Get that name, let the world know. V'od, and furthermore, why is it so important for you to get the word out, to let everyone know just what a tzaddik or tzaddeket you are? Shilamdu mimasecha. Oh, they'll learn from your actions. The tia nischar alehem, and that's amazing. When they learn from you, so the good that they do, that will be in your merit. That's because of your example that you set. And you're going to get schar, you're going to get reward for all the good that they will do. Al kain, therefore, al tastir mimasecha. Oh, don't conceal your actions. Elama she'ef shel legaloto ularos l'bnei adam. Only that which you can't. It's impossible, whatever reason it might be, for you to let others know about it. So that you conceal. But anything that can be revealed, that can be publicized, that can be made well known, absolutely do that. Kavod, and doing that will give you honor, v'shem tov, and a good name, ba'olam hazeh, in this world, v'hagmul hatov l'olam haba, and also great reward for that, great recompense for that, l'olam haba, in the world to come. Right? Great argument. Great argument. So stop being so quiet, so modest, so humble in the things that you do. Let everyone know. Set the example. Hashev alav. If that's how the Yetzer comes at you, this is what you should respond. Umayo ilani shevach b'nei adam. V'ashem hatov, shi'eli b'tocham. What benefit will there be from the praise of people and this shem tov, this good name that I'll have. Im yedi'ati b'kitzuri. When I know just how mikatzer, just how short I'm coming up. I know who I am. I can fool everyone else. I can't fool myself. Right? So therefore I wanna create this echo chamber of people who think that I'm something when I know I'm not really that. I'm not nearly what they think I am. Im yidiati b'kitzuri. When I know that I am katsar, I'm falling short. B'mashni chayav lebori et Allah. In that which I'm obligated, that I owe to my Creator. Uma hana'ati. What pleasure do I get? What pleasure do I get? Bichvodam v'hiduram. When they give me honor, when they praise me. Ve'ein lahem yecholet laho ilani. They have no ability to help me in any way. V'lo lidchot hanezek me'alai. Nor can they be beneficial in preventing any nezek, any harm from coming my way. V'loheim bazek k'mo hatzemach u'balei chayim. They are like a tzemach. They are like something that grows in the ground. U'balei chayim, or animals. She'enam midabrim, that don't speak. Right? I don't try to impress the palm tree in front of my house. Right? There's this lizard that loves to sit outside my front door. Right? We become friends. Right? I wish him a good morning on my way out of the house. Right? I don't think he's so afraid of me anymore. Right? I don't. Maybe not as much as I'm afraid of him. Whatever the case is. Right? I don't try to impress him. Like, hey, palm tree, guess what mitzvah I did? Hey, lizard, you should have seen this chesed, right? No, that's not how we roll, right? So another person also vis-a-vis Hashem, and compared to what I know I really am. So what gain is there? What gain is there in their praise when I know that I'm not what I should be. I'm not what I could be. I'm not what I think they are. There's a great teaching. It says in Pirkei Avos, "La'olam tihi kavod chavercha kavod atzmacha." I don't know if I have it exactly right, but along the lines of the honor of your friend should be to you like your own honor. Meaning, the simple meaning is that the same way we're concerned about our own respect and dignity and honor, so too you should be equally concerned about the honor of your friend, right? As you're concerned about your own honor, be equally concerned about your friend, someone else's honor, right? That's a simple meaning. But there's another meaning to that. And that is, I think it was what Rav Shmuel from Nicholsburg, one of the great Hasidic Rabbeim, came to a town and was about to deliver some sort of a talk. I need to mute you. Sorry, there's a little bit of bounce back. Right? So he came to a town and was about to deliver a speech, a talk, a Mussar Shmooze to the townsfolk. And he asked if he could have a few minutes first alone in a room, right, just to gather his thoughts. So they opened up one of the side rooms. He went in there and closed the door, and everyone was a little bit nosy, and they wanted to know, they wanted to hear what he's saying. So they put their ears to the door or to the wall, and they hear him saying, Reb Shmuel, that was wonderful. Reb Shmuel, you're amazing. Rav Shmuel, that was so inspiring. Rav Shmuel, the way you give a talk, no one else gives a talk. No one gives a talk as good as you. And it seems so bizarre that here he is, this great modest Rebbe, is praising himself left and right, left and right, left and right. So he gave his talk, and afterwards they approached him a little shamefacedly, and they said, Rebbe, wonderful talk, but we happen to have overheard, right? They didn't say we had our ears peeled to the wall, but we happen to have overheard you talking to yourself before the shmooze, right? And saying, what, that was wonderful, so uplifting, so inspiring, so great. Can you share with us what was that about? And he quoted that Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, where the honor of your friends should be as dear to you as your own honor. And he took it as follows. When you honor yourself, when you say, oh, I am such an amazing person, I'm so kind, I'm so sweet, I'm so good looking, whatever it is, right? So when you say that, it sounds very, very hollow. It's very empty, right? So the honor of your friend should be like equal to your own honor. The same way that when you give yourself honor and you praise yourself, you realize how off that is and how ridiculous that is. That's how you should view also the honor of your friend. Meaning when your friend praises you and says, Rabbi, amazing, Rabbi this, Rabbi that, take it as the same way you would take it if you're saying it to yourself. So the answer, he says to the Yetzer Hara, is you want everyone to praise you. Well, you know how fickle everyone else's praise is, and you know that you're not quite what you really should be, not what you ought to be. Right? You know where you are vis-a-vis Hashem, and you know that you're not where you should be, and therefore you don't want to go fishing and trying to make sure that you garner a lot of praise from others. V'ulai kishet kavein lazeh, and even more than this, right? If I will, in fact, be serving Hashem in order to gain this praise and have this shem tov, b'ma'asai, from my actions, lo yitachen li mehem haratzon hamechuvan elav, right? So then I'll end up doing it for that reason. The good that I'm doing, it's not because I owe Hashem so much. There's so much that I owe Hashem, and anything and everything that I've gotten is undeserved grace and kindness and gift and benevolence from Hashem. But I'll start to do things because I want to have a good name. V'yaleh v'datam. And when a person is looking to self-aggrandize, that becomes apparent to others. And then instead of one's actions being a source of respect and honor, it becomes ridicule. Yalebedatam, they'll realize, Ki ani chanef masai, I'm a flatterer with my actions. I'm doing my actions in order to flatter, in order to impress. V'lo eyeh ra'uy etzlam, ela limius v'legenut. And I will not be quarreling this honor and this praise, but rather I'll be despised. I'll be degraded when I go ahead and do that. I remember when I was teaching, I was living in New York and I was teaching at the high school. So one of the perks of my job was, well, in addition to teaching, I was also the Israel guidance counselor. So I would help direct the boys and girls graduating to try to encourage them to spend a gap year in Israel, and then to direct them to the program that would be most fitting for them to attend. And a perk of that was that I would go to Israel just about every year to visit the students in the different schools, take them out for dinner, and I would visit with them, visit the schools, get a sense of was it a right match or was it the right send, and visit any new schools. It was a great perk. So I was davening at one of the big minyanim, one of the big tourist minyanim in Yerushalayim. And after davening, the rabbi there announced I'd like to welcome Rabbi so-and-so who's visiting here. Not me, that's for sure. Rabbi so-and-so who's visiting here from wherever it was. And as soon as he said that, I saw this other person run over, make a beeline, run over to the rabbi and whisper something to him. And then the rabbi said, I also like to welcome Rabbi so-and-so, pointing to this person from wherever he was from. I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Right? And here, this person, I guess, was thinking he would be honored by the rabbi welcoming him. But it was actually the opposite. It was so ridiculous that he felt the need to run over to make sure the rabbi would announce his name and welcome him. So realize, he says, that if one is going to have in mind having a good name and people praising him, it's a very, very thin line to slide over and to start doing things in order to have a good name, in order to be praised. And then people realize that you are involved in this self-aggrandizement, and that does not bring honor. On the contrary, that brings ridicule onto a person. Va'az eyem mafsid masai, the kavanosai, and that way my actions, the value of my actions, and the kavanah and my focus will end up being bilti ha'elokim, no longer about God. I'm doing it because this person's watching. I'm doing that because that person is watching. But lo ya'aleh biyadi, and I will not gain masha kiviti mimnei adam ba'olam hazeh. So I'll lose my focus in terms of when I'm doing my mitzvot, and I'm not going to even gain that which if a person loses out on the main thing, but gains something along the way, all right, you can at least say you gained that along the way, even though you lost your main objective. But here you're going to lose your main objective of serving Hashem with your actions, and you're going to lose that in order to get honor, and you won't even get that honor. Right? The Gemara has an expression of kereach mikan umikan. Literally means you'll be bald from this and from that. Meaning you're not going to accomplish either thing along the way. V'ne'emar lemelech echad. It was once said to a king, Heich lo arva lecha kriyat ploni. Someone read the Torah in front of this king, this ruler, whoever it was. Vayakolo arev, and this person who read the Torah, his voice was very sweet. Ubaki, and he was really proficient, so medactic, so exact in his pronunciations, in the ta'amim, in the cantillation, what we call the trup of the Kriya. And they said to the king, weren't you so impressed with that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reading? Amar lahem, and he responded, Heyach te'arev li kriyato. How could his reading be so dear to me? V'hu eino koreota el kidei sheta'arev li. He's clearly reading it in the way he's reading it in order to make it sweet to me. V'yimsachein be'enai, that he'll find favor in my eyes, ba'avura, from the beautiful way that he read. So who is he reading it for? He's reading it for me. He's reading it to try to find favor in my eyes. Aval im hayta kavanato ba l'ratzon haborei bilvad. If his intent was to bring a nachat ruach to the Creator, that he should read his holy Torah in a beautiful, sweet, uplifting way as an offering, right? Tikon tfilati, may my tefillah, may my words be sweet before you, or arranged before you like the Ketorah, like the incense. If that was why and how he was doing it, Haita arevali, that would have been sweet to me. But reading it to try to impress me and the other people that are there, that's not sweet to me. And the same idea that when you're doing it for the honor of others, not only don't you gain their honor, but you often will gain their ridicule. I had the incredible merit, zuchut, it wasn't my merit, but the incredible gift that when I was teaching at the yeshiva in Israel, that Rav Sholem Shwadron Zatzal. Sholem Shwadron was known as the Maggid of Yerushalayim. All the books, if you've seen any of the Maggid series, the Maggid Speaks, the Journeys of the Maggid by Rabbi Pesach Krohn, it all started with stories about Rav Sholem Shwadron. And he was an amazing speaker, and he would have you laughing. He would say, why do I make people laugh? It's because when their mouths are open, then I could put the musar inside. Right? That's when they'll be open towards hearing the musar. And he was legendary. And he actually spent Shavuot 1 year at the yeshiva where I was teaching. And we all, of course, stayed up the whole night with the learning. And then it was time to daven Shacharit. And he was the chazan for Shacharit. And he didn't have, maybe he did, but after a whole night of being up the whole night learning and talking, his voice was not particularly sweet. It wasn't this beautiful voice. But it was one of the most beautiful davenings that I ever heard. Because it was coming from his heart, it was coming from his soul. And it wasn't to sound sweet for us. It was coming as a beautiful offering to Hashem. And it was a gift that I had to experience such a shacharit. Right? When we do it to impress others, then it doesn't go well. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was living in Israel and I came into the States for the wedding of one of my sons, for one of my talmidim, right? So the wedding was in Staten Island. So they asked me to daven Musaf. So I'm fairly proficient davening Musaf, and the acoustics in that shul were amazing. And as I'm starting to do the repetition of the Amidah, I'm singing it, right? The voice was like filling the shul. And I've got a decent voice. I can carry a tune well. And sometimes my voice, I could carry a tune, but sometimes my voice is really on. Other times I'm carrying a tune. That Shabbos, my voice was on. And I'm doing the repetition of the Midah. I get to Kedusha, and I did a beautiful job, a beautiful Kedusha. And I'm thinking to myself, Ciner, you're sounding pretty good. You're sounding pretty good today. This is an on day for you. And the moment I thought that, it was just seconds until there was a nosedive. What happened after Kedusha? I continued the repetition, and I went into not the Shabbos tune for the repetition, but the Yom Tov tune for the repetition. And when you're off and you're in a different tune, I find it very hard to correct yourself. Right? You've got to really stop for about 10 seconds to reset. And I couldn't do that in the middle of my davening. And people alongside of me are like trying to help me to get me back on the proper tune. And I could not for the life of me get back. Right? And we finished there. It wasn't Rosh Hashanah, but it was certainly Sukkot or Pesach by the time we finished the Shemona Esrei. And I felt like such a fool. And to me, that was the greatest lesson. That, when you start thinking you're really doing well, right? Start counting until you end up flat on your face, right? And if you're doing things to impress others, right? If you're not davening to impress Hashem or to not impress Hashem, but to offer yourself before Hashem, then it's not going to end up very well. But
Rabbi,
oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I just want to say that your point is well taken, of course, and I think all of us have been at times stuck, but you're selling yourself a little short. You have a very fine singing voice, and when you
Sometimes.
leave the services,
Thank you.
Even when it's just a regular weekday minyan,
Okay.
you do a great job. Don't
Thank you.
be
Okay.
too overly humble.
But now the next thing he says, "V'chein nemar b'chol mi shemechavein b'tfilato." And the same is said about anyone whose intent in his tefillah, me'amid palim b'tzibur, when he's davening for the congregation, ubale hachazon b'piyutim, or the chazan, right? And he comes up with piyutim chadashim. He comes up with some new tunes or some new ideas, some new numbers. Limso chen beinei bnei adam, and his intent is to impress the congregation, to find favor in the eyes of the people. Mi baladei hakel, as opposed to trying to make it a more meaningful tefillah for everyone before Hashem. She'eno mekubelet etzel habore. That is not a tefillah that will be so willingly and easily accepted before the Creator. But Tomer lo od, and say further to him, Shim hayali in yeli kavod ba'olam hazeh al ma'asai, lo yishaer li l'olam haba min agmul alav klum. And they should keep baltiv meheira ba'olam hazeh. If I'm going to get too much, if I'm going to get too much honor here in this world, then maybe that will be my next world account that's getting depleted to pay me over here with all the honor here in this world. V'amru, and they said al echa min hachasidim. They said about one of the chasidim, shenichnas l'shuk liknot chayfetz. He went into the market to buy a certain object. He went to one of the stores to buy it over there. And the neighbor of that shopkeeper whispered to that shopkeeper, Vatirlo, oh, give him a good price. Asay kirtzono, do whatever he asks. Kihu me'anshei hayir of Torah. This person is a great Torah scholar. This person is a great God. This is a holy man, right? Right. Take care of him. Amalo hachasid. The chassid said, "Thank you, but eini tzarich leviturcha. I don't need your vitur. I don't need your discount. I don't need your gifts. Kilobati liknot kiyim v'mamoni lo b'torati. I came here planning on spending my money, not spending my Torah. Meaning, if I'm going to be getting all of these gifts here in this world, right, then I'm spending my Torah instead of spending my money on these things. And I didn't come here to buy. I came here to buy with my wallet, not with my merits, not with my Torah. Umi'ein liknot mimenu hachefetz. And he did not buy it over there. Ubikshu etzel zulato, and he went to another store, shlo hayodea inyano, where the person selling it to him didn't know who he was, didn't know what he was, and he sold it to him as he would sell it to any other customer who would walk into the store. So we have to be careful not to seek things in this world, because who knows how the cheshbon, who knows how the accounting system works, and we don't want to trade in our olam haba. There's a famous story in I believe it's a Gemara or Medrash, I'm not sure. Or Shimon ben Yochai had a student. There are a number of stories along these lines. He had a student who left the yeshiva, went into business, and became very, very successful. And he saw that the other students were feeling a little bit down on themselves. Oh, why are we still here? Maybe we could have gone out into the world and also had become very, very successful. So he brought them out to a valley, and he said, Bika, Bika, valley, valley, fill up Zehuvim, fill up with gold coins. And miraculously, the valley filled with gold coins. And he told the students, any of you who want to take. It's there for the taking. But understand where it's coming from, right? On what account it's being drawn from. Okay, so yeah. Umash zacharta me'inyan va'asiti lecha shem, and that it says, but he did have a pasuk, right? We had that pasuk from, I believe it was Shmuel, va'asiti lecha shem gadol. I will give to you a great name, kashem ha'gedolim, like the name of the greats, asher ba'aretz, who are there in the land. So you see that there is this spiritual value to having a shem gadol, having a good name, right? I mentioned before the Mishnah Pirkei Avot that the keter shem tov, the keter, the crown of a good name that arises above the crown of Torah, of royalty, and of priesthood. So why shouldn't a person aspire and work towards having a shem tov? So he explains, Hu kishar ma'avaye b'nei adam ba'olam hazeh me'osher v'kavod. This good name is one of the gifts that Hashem gives to a person, right? Like wealth or honor. That is a gift that Hashem will grant a person. Shem Tov also. A good name is a gift that Hashem will give for those who he sees it being positive for whatever reason in his eyes, that person should have this Shem Tov. Asher abore meitiv behem lavadav. Hashem gives out much good to his servants. And one of the things, one of the gifts that Hashem gives to his servants is a Shem Tov. Kishechachmato mechayevet lahem zeh. When God's wisdom decides that it's good for this person to have a Shem Tov, right? You have many people who are doing really good things. Some of them have a Shem Tov. Others don't necessarily have such a Shem Tov. Some have a really good name. Others don't have such a good name. Hashem decides. That's a gift that Hashem gives to whom he decides it is fitting for them to have that gift. Kamo shekatuv, as it says, the V'gam lo sha'alta. This was King Solomon before he became at the very start of his reign as the king, as a young lad, right? And God came to him in a dream and asked him, "What is it that you would like?" And he said, "I want wisdom. That's what I want." And Hashem responded, "V'gam lo sha'alta." Even that which you did not ask, right? I would think as a young boy becoming the king, you would ask for wealth, you would ask for honor. You did not ask for those things. You asked for wisdom. So also that which you did not ask, natati lecha, I've granted to you. Gam osher, also wealth. Gam kavod, and also honor. So we see that this honor, this good name, is something that God grants. It's not something that we are focused on doing that. We focus on doing what's right. If we get the Shem Tov, we get the Shem Tov. If we don't get the Shem Tov, we don't get the Shem Tov. But we don't do it for the Shem Tov. And that's what Hashem had said by Kings. I will give to you that Shem Tov. Uchtiv, and it's written also in Mishlei Proverbs, Orech Yamim biyamina, longevity of days is by the right hand, bismola, and in a left-handed, meaning supplementary manner, is osher v'kavod, is wealth and honor. Now, the only one who could grant orech yamim, long days, longevity, is Hashem. So too it is Hashem who will choose to give the osher and kavod or not. Aval hachasidim, but the truly righteous people, ein kavanatam b'maseim l'davar mehem. Their intent in what they do is not for any davar, is not for anything, ela l'shem habore yitaleh. Their only intent is for the sake of the Creator. Shehu meitiv bahem lemi sheyirtzeh. And Hashem gives out tov to those who he wants to give out good to. How he decides, only God knows. Me'anshei avodato, sometimes it goes to those who are serving him diligently, assiduously. Vizulatam, and to others. Sometimes it goes to others who are not doing that. Ma'aminim, sometimes it goes to those who have that great emunah, that great belief and faith and trust in God. V'kofrim, and sometimes it goes to those who are kofer, who deny Hashem. What determines it? Kafi shemechayevet chachmato, all according to what Hashem's chachma decides. Yitbarach, may it be blessed. Kamo shenemar, as the pasuk says, va'osher va'kavod milfanecha, the wealth and the honor, that is before you, that is in your hands, God. You decide who to give it to. We are not meant to be serving Hashem in order to get honor, in order to get a good name. We're meant to be serving Hashem for the sake of serving Hashem. Now, there is an idea that a person, right, does want to set an example. You know, I encourage people here in the shul, right, to make. I was talking to a young man in the shul who has completed a tractate, and I encouraged him, make a siyum in front of the whole shul. Make the siyum at Kiddush this Shabbos, and let people know, right? It's setting an example, right? So a person, you know, it's good to set an example, but we don't want to be doing it in order to get a good name, right? We want to do it for the sake of Hashem, for the sake of the mitzvah, and we can hope that others will then follow suit, but I'm not doing it for the shame, for the name, for the shem tov, for the kavod. That's not how or why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. Okay, my friends, good. Where are we in Sefaria? What are we up to? What's the next one?
70.
Okay, so we'll start with 70 next week?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, and that's Lamed Hey. Olam. That's it. Good. Okay, my friends, we'll call it over here.
Thank you, Rabbi. See you all
Thank
later.
you.
Bye bye.
Seeing everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night.